Hey everyone, this is Hafizullah Masoudi and you're watching from Code with Hafiz. I welcome you to the 11th video of this series where we will discuss HTML graphics. So first of all, what we have is the HTML canvas graphics. So the canvas element is used to draw graphics on a web page. Now first of all, what is HTML canvas? Well, as I told you, it's an element which can be used to draw graphics on the fly via JavaScript. So the canvas element itself is only a container for graphics, and we must use JavaScript to actually draw something or draw the graphics. So the canvas element has several methods for drawing paths, boxes, circles, text, adding images, etc. Now a canvas is a rectangle area on an HTML page, and by default a canvas has no border and no content. So let's create a canvas first of all. So let's get back to our text editor, and what I will do is first of all comment our previous code. So let's open our comment tags, and we are already closing it in the bottom. Now to create a canvas, we can use the canvas element. So let's close it, and for this element we should always declare an ID. So let's say my canvas, and we also have to declare the width and the height for the canvas. So let's say width should be equal to, let's say, 200 pixels, and let's say height should be equal to 100 pixels. Now if we save this, get back to the browser and refresh, well, we won't see anything because it's only a container for the graphics. But let's give it a border. So we can do that using the style element at our head section. So in here we can use the ID that we gave the canvas. So let's say hash my canvas, and well, we need to close this. So in here let's give it some border. So let's say, for example, 1px or pixels, and which should be solid, and let's declare a color for it. Now if you get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see it's our nice canvas. So now let's add some JavaScript and draw something to this canvas. Well, let's draw a line. So let's get back to our text editor, and what I will do is I will write my script in the head section. As you remember, I told you that we can write or put our script element in the head section also. So in here let's open our script element, and let's close this. And now what we can do is get the canvas using the ID, and we can store it in a variable. So let's call it var, or which is the type for the variable, and let's name it C. So it should equal to document.get element by ID, and in here we should declare the ID of the element that we want, which is my canvas. And in here after we get the canvas with the ID, we wanna get the context. So let's create another variable for the context. So let's name it ctx for context, and we want to get the context from the canvas, which is the C. So dot get context, and we want to get the 2D. So this being done, now we can call some methods on this context, and the first method that we want to call is the starting point. So in here let's say ctx dot move to, and in here let's say 0 0, and then we want the line to move or to continue to another specific point. So let's say ctx dot line 2, and in here we want to say 200 and 100, and you can already notice that it's the dimensions of our canvas. So we want to go to the 200 to the width and 100 to the height. So after this let's press enter and let's create our line. So ctx dot stroke, and that's all. So if we save this and get back to the browser, and if I refresh, well, we are not getting anything. Well, I think I know what is the problem. So let's get back to the text editor, and what we have to do is run the script after we create the canvas element. So let's cut this from here and we will put it after the canvas. So suppose this is the ending part of our body tag. So now if we save this, get back to the browser and refresh, now you can see we have our nice line. Now let's draw a circle. So let's get back to the text editor, and what we can do is we can create another canvas. So let's copy this, and just for the ID let's say my canvas 2, and yeah. So now let's call this canvas and create a circle. So what I will do is copy this already written code and paste it again, and let's customize the first one. So canvas 2, and we are getting the context, and then in here we want to call another function, which is begin, let's say path, and we want this one to be empty, and then we want to call another function which is arc. So let's say 95, and for this one let's say 50, and next up let's say 40 and 0 and 2, and we want to multiply it by math.py. So we have this math API in JavaScript from which we can get the pi value, and this is how you can create a circle. So if we get back to the browser, and if I refresh now you can see we have a nice circle, but we don't have the border, and that is because if we check out our code, we only have the border for the first canvas. So what we can do is we can copy the code for the border of the second canvas also. So let's copy it, paste it here, and let's say my canvas 2, and if you get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see it's also having a border. So guys, we can draw anything we would like using the canvas along with JavaScript. So for this you have to learn JavaScript to use the canvas as per your need. So an HTML canvas can be used to draw text, draw graphics, or can be animated, or it can be interactive, and it can be also used for games. So if you want to learn more about HTML canvas, you can search for HTML canvas tutorial in the Google and learn more about it. So this was only to show you that what possibilities do you have in HTML. So you now know that you have an element like canvas that you can use to draw graphics for anything you would like. Now next up what we have is the HTML SVG, and you know that SVG defines a vector-based graphics in XML format. So SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, and it is used to define graphics for the web. So for SVG we have the SVG element itself, which is a container for SVG graphics, and SVG has several methods also for drawing paths, boxes, circles, text, and graphic images. Now let's create an SVG circle to show you an example. So let's get back to our text editor, and what I will do is I will put an HR here. So let's put one, and in here let's create an SVG element. So this should be SVG, and let's close it. So inside here what we want to do is draw a circle, but before that let's also declare a width and height for this SVG. So let's say width should be, let's say 100, and height should be also 100. And to create a circle we can use the circle element. So let's say circle, and we should close it like this, so it does not have a closing tag because it does not hold any content. So let's say cx should equal to 50 and cy should equal to 40 and a stroke should equal to green, for example, and let's say stroke hyphen width should be 4, and we want to fill this circle with yellow. So let's save this, get back to the browser, and if we refresh, well, we are not seeing anything. Well, let's see what is the problem. So if we get back to the text editor, and yeah, we have the cx, the cy, and we also need the r attribute. So let's say 40. So let's save this, get back to the browser, refresh. Now you can see we have our nice circle. So guys, our circle is incomplete, so let's see what is the problem. And yeah, this value should be also 50. So let's save this and get back to the browser, and if we refresh now you can see we have our complete circle. So now let's show you another example, which is to create a rectangle. So I will get back to the text editor and let's copy this already created SVG and I will paste it again. So this time for the width, let's say for example 400, and for the height 100 is alright, and instead of circle let's say rect for a rectangle, and let's remove all the attributes from here. So instead we want a width for it, so let's say 400, and we want a height for it, so let's say 100, and we want the style attribute here. So for this one, let's say we want this one to be filled with RGB, and let's say 0, 0, 255, and we want a stroke for it, so let's say RGB, and for the values let's say 0, 0, 0, and next up let's say stroke hyphen width, which should be for example 10, and if we save this and get back to the browser and refresh, now you can see we have our nice rectangle SVG. So guys, you can see how the SVG works, but it's not all about SVG, and if you want to find out more about the SVG element, you can search for HTML SVG tutorial in the Google to learn more. So again, this is only to show you that you have an element like SVG available in HTML that you can use to draw some graphics or vector based graphics. Now finally, let's talk about the differences between SVG and Canvas. So first, SVG is a language for describing 2D graphics in XML, but Canvas draws 2D graphics on the fly with use of JavaScript. Now next up, what we have is that SVG is based on XML, which means that every element is available within the SVG DOM, and you can attach a JavaScript event handlers for an element, and each drawn shape is remembered as an object. So if the attributes of an SVG object are changed, the browser can automatically re-render the shape. So that's for SVG. But on the other hand, the canvas is rendered pixel by pixel, so once the graphic is drawn, it is forgotten by the browser. So if its position is changed, the entire scene needs to be redrawn, including any objects that might have been covered by the graphic. So keep this in mind. So to point some of the important differences between Canvas and SVG. So Canvas is resolution dependent, but SVG is resolution independent. And second, Canvas does not support for event handlers of JavaScript, but an SVG supports event handlers. Now Canvas has poor text rendering capabilities, but SVG is best suited for applications with large rendering areas for example Google Maps. So next up what we have is that a canvas can save the resulting image as PNG or JPG, but SVG has a slow rendering, and if complex, anything that uses the DOM a lot will be slow. So SVG is slow. Now canvas is well suited for graphic intensive games, but we cannot use SVG for game applications. Now this was everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching the video and it was informative. So if so, don't forget to give the thumbs up and a nice comment also. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe too if you want more videos like this. So thanks for watching. See ya in the next video.